just saw us firing a T&W Finnish M31 SA Suomi Carbine. This is actually a weapon I thought we had done a video on quite a few years ago, but I guess it never took, or it didn't get uploaded, or something happened. By now these are out of production, but starting around 2009 through about 2012, T&W up in the northwest, I think it was Washington or Oregon, was building KP-31 semi-automatic Suomis from parts kits into carbines, semi-automatic over carbines. Like the original, these fire 9mm. Of course, these are from a closed bolt. The original SMG was open bolt. Has the original 12-inch barrel with the 4-inch extension pinned or welded on to make it legal. It is still quick detaching. This lever just swings forward and then your shroud comes off and the whole thing comes out. It feeds from the standard double stack mags. This is a 36 round trapezoidal mag. It also takes 72 round drums and others. There's several mags out there. If you notice, it has very rifle style sights. Shouldn't have grabbed it there. It's trying to bounce it around. There we go. The front here is drift adjustable, and the rear is elevation adjustable. This one's stiff, sorry about that. They put very thick park on these. There we go. And the sights haven't been moved much. See? Again, it reminds me a lot of what you see on the Finnish M39 type rifles. Has a Garand style safety. Pushing the trigger guard to push it off. The originals were striker fired, and the later ones are hammer fired. Of course, single piece stock here. Now the Suomi, the KP-31, was developed by Amo Lottie. Not surprisingly, it was accepted in 1931. It was Finland's first domestically produced submachine gun that went into mass production. In fact, it was one of the earliest submachine guns in general. Of course, the Thompson predates it, as does the Bergman, the MP18. Bretter also had the M16 that they did, but by and large, this is one of the early submachine guns. It is made from machined steel, as is this semi-auto receiver here. There's no stampings on it. It's quite a weighty weapon. As you can see, it's quite long. But, they were still kind of figuring out what a submachine gun was. These were built tough to endure the winters in Finland. They were also built to a very high accuracy standard. The original military guns were select fire, single shot, or fully automatic. Initially, they were issued with 20-round box mags and then 40-round drum magazines, but neither one proved to be very successful. The 20-round was just too low capacity, and the 40-round drum was not reliable, difficult to load, and still didn't offer a great capacity. So soon, a 72-round drum was adopted in the late 30s, and that was pretty well standard issue with these from that point onward. Some of these were in service, several thousand, by the time of the Winter War in 1939 and 1940, and tens of thousands were available for the continuation war from 1941 through 1945. Alright, these were produced from the early 30s through around 1950, 1955, and were in service up through the 1980s, and I think they were officially retired in the 1990s, so they were around for a while. That said, after around 1960, they were mostly used for training and second line type things when the Valmet rifle went into service. Very well respected submachine gun, very durable, very heavy, robust, used quite effectively during the Winter War and Continuation War. The Soviets especially learned to respect them. They definitely gave Finland a great deal of firepower for their size. Well made, but also expensive to make compared to especially later submachine guns made from stamped steel. Of course, you've got a single piece wood stock, no pistol grip. It's the antithesis of being tactical. The original models had just a straight shroud here. You can see where this is, and that's where they ended. Later ones had this muzzle brake on them. They called it the SJR. So some of the later ones had the brakes, some didn't. Some of them have this inletted sling swivel, and some of them have an external one like up front in the back of the stock. But all in all, production that was pretty stable, and there wasn't a lot of changes with these. Later on, these trapezoidal mags were adopted, and these actually is a Finnish design. This one, a Swedish design, but later they were made in Finland. You can tell this is Finnish because it has the lanyard ring. Back to the semi-auto. Yeah, these were made by T&W for a number of years. There's quite a few of them out there. They're getting hard to get today, but they're fun. They're of course no felt recoil because of the weight and being a 9mm Parabellum. But mags were at one time quite cheap and available. Now they're kind of getting hard to find. The parts kit, the same with those. Once upon a time you could get them for under $100. Now they're kind of starting to climb. But an interesting part of World War II history that you don't hear a lot about. And it seems like we've had quite a few of these come through. From T&W, they need a little tweaking. For one thing, the park on them is very heavy. But once you kind of break them in, get them to run right, do a few little minor mods, polish this, oil that kind of thing. Basically just, give it a little time. They've become a very reliable and fun little submachine gun that's been converted to semi-auto. So for more, I'm sure we'll have a blog article up on these to look more, but that's pretty much the history of these in a nutshell, and what they are and where they fit in history. So we'll move on. Alright, moving on with Finnish submachine guns. This is a KP-44 semi-automatic made by SGM down in Texas. Now we did a small video on this several years ago, just a couple of minute little video. I thought we'd go ahead and revisit it since we had the KP-31 Suomi out. I picked this one up, I think it was 2009. From SMG. Actually, it came in on Christmas Eve or the day before, right before Christmas, which was kind of neat. I've had it since then. It's been a very reliable, fun gun. Much like the IO Polish PPS42 pistols, this one has the stock welded closed. Fires from a closed bolt. All original Finn parts, including the barrel, the original length, has the muzzle brake. The KP-44 was essentially a reverse-engineered Russian PPS42, or if you like, maybe an early PPS43. They had captured many during the Continuation War. The upper half is very much like the Russian gun, the muzzle brake, the 10-inch barrel, the shroud, the type of folding stock. The sights are very similar. Now the lower is a little different because they wanted to be able to take the same magazines as the KP-31 Suomi. Also like the KP-31 Suomi, it fires 9mm Luger instead of 7.62x25 Tokarev. So this one has a 50-round coffin mag in it, which was in common use during and right after World War II. It's a quad stack. These also could take the standard drums and later the trapezoidal 36-round stick mags. Also, unlike, to make it different from the PPS42 and 43, it has a wooden pistol grip, not Bakelite. Trigger is very similar. Really similar gun other than that, just a few things that they customized these. Basically, since the Suomi was so expensive to produce, they wanted to make these because they're mostly stamped steel, cheaper, lighter, of course more compact because of the folding stock and shorter barrel. Still very reliable. They only fired in full automatic only, but had a relatively controllable rate of fire, so that was alright. Again, they used the high capacity mags, which were very handy. And now most of these, they developed these during World War II, but by the time the Continuation War was over, they were just starting to make these, and really all of these were produced right after World War II, from 1945 through about 1950, 55. They didn't make a ton of them. They made 20, 25,000, the best I can remember. So, but the key was when the KP-31 went into second line of training service, a lot of these were issued to Finnish soldiers on guard duty, also UN peacekeeping missions. So even though they really weren't used a lot in actual combat like the KP-31 was, they were carried a lot, and for that they were appreciated because of their lightweight and small size. They were nicknamed the Tin Henry, and because of the Ming stamped steel. But yeah, I thought we'd just bring this out today. We just got through shooting, as you saw, made by SGM down in Texas. It's proven to be very reliable, built from a parts kit on a repair section type receiver. Very, very typical American build type gun, but complements the TNW M31 very well, and just an interesting piece of Finnish history, and shows their close association with Soviet Russia and all of that. So I would just revisit that. Well, we'll move on. Alright, and for our final gun, we've got another kind of revisit here. This is a Swedish Gustav M45, often called the Swedish K, and this is a semi-automatic manufactured by MK Gun Mods for us. Now, we had a video on this a few years ago, but there was no shooting, so you just saw us shooting it. Thought we'd just revisit it here for a minute. The other video will be linked below so you can see more details on it. But this is the thing. This is actually a different gun than the one in the first video. Same exact manufacturer and everything, just a newer model. A few things were changed, a little more accurate representation of a few of the parts and everything. Same side folding stock. Has the original 8-inch barrel with an extension on it, a removable mag weld where it can take both the drums and the stick mags. This is a Swedish 36 round trapezoidal mag. Has a 3-position rear flip sight. Kind of neat. This is a really nice gun to fire. It has a very smooth rate. It's because the bolt has very short travel, so there's not a lot of bouncing back and forth. It's a relatively light bolt as far as that goes as well. It's a striker fired gun. Nice big trigger. It disassembles very nice. This actually comes off. I'm not going to do it on camera, but it has a really interesting way of being disassembled. Essentially, what Carl Gustav did with these was to make a very nicely refined Sten. Internally, it's just as simple as a Sten gun, even simpler in the trigger group because it's a full automatic only normally. Now this one is the D variant with the selector switch. And just so you know, this has been pinned to the semi-auto, it can't go to full. But the military, most of the M45 and M45Bs were just full auto only, they didn't have the switch. Pretty good sized wood pistol grip here, oversized trigger guard for using with gloves. Standard mag catch here that's protected. These were made from stamped steel mostly, with a few machine parts such as the bolt. Yeah, not a whole lot to say. They're pretty famous for their use in Vietnam, and they were in the Swedish military for a very long time. In fact, they weren't retired fully until the 21st century. They're just a submachine gun that works. They work really well, coming right out of the water, still damp. They're pretty easy to suppress. They have fully adjustable sights, which is nice. The front sight adjusts with a tool, and then the rear sight, as you saw, just flips around. This shroud is quick removable, as is the barrel. There's a plunger here you push, and it just unscrews, much like on an Uzi. So yeah, just a really neat, simple but effective submachine gun, and really one of the last submachine guns you see. You've got the Uzi and the MP5 coming, but this is kind of the last of that World War II tube stamped steel submachine gun, kind of the last of that 3rd generation era. But they run really well, and they're a lot of fun to shoot, and we've had a few of these built over the years, and response has been good, and we're, of course, basically out of kits now, so probably no more are going to be built. Excuse me, got a little choked up there. But yeah, it does have the J-hook safety where you can just lock it back, like on the original. But nice trigger on this for what they really are. But yeah, these have an association with the Suomi because Carl Gustav made a Suomi licensed Suomi copy known as the M3739. So these actually take the same magazine, fire the same 9mm bullet as the KP-31 and KP-44. So they come out together to play a lot. But yeah, we just thought we'd share something a little interesting, unique. You can see it being shot finally after so many years of the other video being up. Well, this is Misha, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe, comment, any questions, or just let us know. We'll be happy to try to help.